Well, I started out as an enlisted man in 1950, and in 1960 I was commissioned and went to flight training, and then from there I did lots of neat stuff. So once I started flying, then I was in a patrol squadron, and I worked with them for about 7 months, but I had other ambitions. I wanted to get into military intelligence, and eventually did. So I got out of that squadron and went to New Orleans, where I was assigned a sort of temporary duty with the hurricane hunters that flew out of Jacksonville, Florida. I was in New Orleans, and that was an interesting tour of duty because there was very little military work there. I stayed there for a year and a half and flew, I guess maybe 10 hurricane runs, which was a thrill of my life. They were really, really terrific. I really enjoyed that. I would have stayed with them, but because I had some training as an enlisted man in meteorology, and I really liked it. In fact, I identified with the weather pretty much. So after I had been with the squadron flying hurricanes for a year and a half, I got a set of orders to go to Okinawa to work for a man named William T. Rapp. He's an admiral in charge of CTF-72, which is the Navy aviation in the Pacific. And he asked me would I be interested in special duty. I said, sure, I dreamed that. So he assigned me to the people who were in Vietnam at that time, and I went down and took my Navy team. They had completely set up a team of Navy people. I went down there and went up in the high country and did defoliating so that the airplanes that flew over with the Agent Orange could see the surface of the jungle. I had a terrific crew. They were just the best sailors, but they were babies. They had very, very little training. So I spent the first 6 weeks teaching them how to go on patrol and how to do perimeter work. Because when we were up there with our equipment, the VCs for some reason didn't want us up there. I worked at that for almost a year, my first tour. And then when I came out of there, I thought sure I was going to go back to America. But Admiral Rapp had a hole in the Riverine Patrol Force, and he asked me would I like to do that. So I took over command of the Riverine Patrol Force on the Mekong, and that was probably one of the highlights of my career, because one of our primary jobs was not just searching all the ships and boats that were on the river, but inserting and withdrawing SEAL teams into a place called the Rung Sat Special Zone, which is south of Saigon. It's a sort of a mangrove swamp forest, and we did that for 9 months, and that got exciting because that's where the VC hung out when they were in South Vietnam. We were up against the mud bank. I jumped off onto the mud bank, and I walked about 10 feet. Right in front of me was driftwood, a little stack of driftwood. When I got there, it flew open, and there was a Viet Cong guy holding an AK-47 in his hands who stepped out and poked this thing directly at me, but he did not pull the trigger. He turned it and smacked me in the face with the butt of it. Why? I have no idea. I pulled my gun and I shot him. I went from enlisted to officer when I got flight training, and I turned out went in as a Lieutenant JG there because I had been a Master Chief Petty Officer in my enlisted years. And I got promoted several times because I did those special projects. So I wound up, when I retired, as a Lieutenant Commander. And the 6 months after I retired, they promoted me to Commander on the retired list.